The evening wind whipped against the windows of the small dance studio where ONEUS had been rehearsing for weeks. The routine was grueling, but today, something floated in the air. A gentle tension, like a nameless whisper. "Hyung, look at this." Won-woong approached with the phone in hand, showing an email with an odd header. Official invitation to Mireille House. Pending inheritance review. Presence required. Rav raised an eyebrow as he wiped the sweat with a towel. An inheritance? Who's sending you that? That's the strange part. It's addressed to all of us as a group. I've never heard of this house, Won-woong replied, lowering his voice. Seo-ho leaned in, reading over his companion's shoulder. Says a Lord Mireille left something in his will for us. Could it be real? And why us? Leto crossed his arms, his voice low like a warning. There's an address in France. It says expenses are covered. We just have to go and stay there for 3 days. Zian read with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. What if it's a trap? Asked Kian-hee, raising an eyebrow. And if it's not? Rav took the phone and read it silently for a few seconds. Listen, we've been working nonstop. Maybe this trip is just what we need. 3 days away, we film something, perhaps even get inspired for a new concept. A tense silence settled in the room. All right, murmured Leto. But if we go, we do it together. And at the slightest hint of danger, we leave. 3 days later, they landed in France. A black car waited for them at the airport, with a driver dressed in a gray suit. He said nothing, only led them through increasingly narrow roads, through thick woods and sleeping villages. Finally, they arrived. Mireille House rose like a shadow over the cliffs. It was an old mansion, with moss-covered roofs and tall windows like watchful eyes. The ocean battered the rocks beneath with a constant fury. This seems like something out of a dream or a nightmare, murmured Zian. A woman with a pale face and gray eyes greeted them. I am Madame Belrose. I have cared for this house for 20 years. Lord Mireille insisted that you come, even though you never met him. What did he want from us? Asked Seo-ho, frowning. That, dear sirs, you will discover tonight, when the house decides to speak. That night, as they dined in a candlelit dining room, the tension became palpable. Did you hear that? Won-woong froze. A whisper, like the brush of footsteps, came from the hallway. There's no one else here, said Madame Belrose, though she did not sound convinced. Is this house empty? Kian-hee asked. Not completely, replied the woman with an icy smile. The spirit of Lord Mireille still remains, sometimes in the mirrors, or in the voices of the night. Back in their rooms, the boys couldn't sleep. Something moved in the hallways. A figure reflected where it shouldn't be. A covered portrait that seemed to change its expression. Did you see the portrait on the staircase? Whispered Leto, crossing his arms. It was identical to Rav.
Impossible, murmure Seo.
That seems painted 100 years ago. And if it's not a coincidence, said Rav in a low voice. And if we've already been here in another life? A sharp sound interrupted the conversation. The lamp went out abruptly, and in the silence, someone or something started to laugh.